YouTube, I should have hit start stream. And there we go. It's popping up. We're movie stars. We're getting there.
Yeah.
See
So are we rolling?
There we go. Well, I gotta pop the OBS up and then make it smaller that way.
I got a notification for Summer Todd's mystery show behind the scenes just now. Is that what we're currently filming, or are you?
No.
Is that an old episode?
Yeah, it's an old episode, and I messed up and forgot to change that around. Summer Todd's creepy corner.
Oh yeah. Don't forget to change it. Don't forget to change it if that's what we're gonna call it.
What are we calling it? Hollywood Mystery Show?
Yeah, we could
call it. We could call it Hollywood Conspiracies
what's your
or
Hollywood Insiders? No. Okay, Hollywood Conspiracy. Hollywood Cult of Calamity. Hollywood Cults.
Yeah, that's actually not a bad name.
Hollywood Satanic.
the Illuminati, huh? It was
Hollywood. Yeah. Illuminati.
Hollywood satanic conspiracies, maybe.
Illuminati. Illuminati. No, Hollywood conspiracies. Okay, we're gonna have to come up with a name.
Yeah.
Hollywood Hollywood conspiracy cults. No, Hollywood.
Not terrible.
Hollywood cult classics.
Hollywood hell.
It's about a lot of different stuff, isn't it? Like Illuminati.
We'll be talking about we'll be talking about how Kanye West got replaced supposedly, and Arthur Fleck describes meeting the devil and how us celebrities have sold their souls and
Cults of Hollywood.
Yeah. Cult of Hollywood. Maybe.
Just singular?
I mean, the whole thing's one big cult, right? Or is it multiple cults rolled into under one umbrella? That's a good question, actually.
I'm game. I love it. Let's do this.
Okay.
What, Cult of Hollywood?
Cult of Hollywood, man. It sounds good to me.
Okay.
I mean,
it's
open
to a lot of discussions about a lot of different paranormal stuff going on in Hollywood, too. So,
yep.
Yeah.
Now I have to just figure out a good way of hitting record without your face disappearing. I know that.
On standby.
I know that didn't sound good, but it just. Let me see here. And like, didn't they have like this thing where you could do like both of you guys on the stream, like faces and stuff? I just don't see that anymore. They did a changeover on the show.
Yeah, I thought you could. Like, so picture would be big and like over there, yeah.
Yeah, like it was supposed to, like, the participants. Yeah, there we go. Oh no, it didn't do it. I'm gonna have to go in there and see if maybe there's something in the settings that I need to. Yeah, it's really weird how they did this. All of this is so freaking different now. Show new message.
You've been doing much live streaming lately, Roger, or is this the first you've done in a little while?
Oh, I've been doing nothing but live stream, but this is the first time in a while that I've had to do one on Discord. which is something that I've been wanting to get back on Discord, but not too many people want to actually do anything on here.
Yeah, it seems like every time I mention Discord to people, they're always like, well, I'm not a Discord user, or I don't know what that is, and I'm not familiar with it. And there's always like some excuse for why they don't want to get on Discord, and like, Discord's one of the better platforms, I think. I don't know what that is, and I'm not familiar with.
Well, you just look at them and say, well, you got a funny face. Say, fuck you.
I do that too.
Say,
I do that too.
Well, you got a funny.
Every time we do a show, we could have a little different, like a little face or a little picture.
Uh-huh.
Maybe that'd be
Yeah.
Okay.
a visitor. You know?
Mm-hmm. Now, I think we're also streaming on here, too. I'm not quite sure how that's working out. Oh, there we go. We got it. We got it. I do not know how that freaking happened, but we got you both on there. That's awesome. It worked out. Now say 1, 2, 3 real quick. Austin. So,
1.
for Austin. He's the one we got to worry about.
Okay.
Say 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Do a countdown real quick.
1, 2, 3.
Okay, good. All right. So I'll do the countdown, and when I do it, start out with your introduction. Tell me when you're ready for me to do the countdown.
And what are you gonna call it again?
Summer Todd's Creepy Corner, and this is Cult of Hollywood.
Yeah, Colts of Hollywood. Okay.
All
right. I knew what I was gonna call. Okay.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Okay. 3.
You ready, Mom?
Oh yeah.
Count 1.
No. Let me do it.
No, Roger's gonna count down.
Okay.
When I'm done, you go into your introduction, okay?
Yeah.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, now.
Hi, this is Summer Todd. My show was Summer Todd's Mystery Show, but we're changing it to Summer Todd's Creepy Corner. Tonight, we're going to be discussing Hollywood and kind of cult of Hollywood, or any stuff like Illuminati, anything that you want to discuss. It'll probably morph out into some different stuff. So that's what we're doing tonight. It's been a while since I've been on here, so hopefully we'll have a good show. And feel free to comment. And my son will be here, Austin, discussing things. So if you want to kick it off, Austin, can you hear me?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I wrote down like a big list of different things to discuss. We could even probably do a couple episodes of this, but I'll just start with that first thing I wrote. So there was a rapper who's also a big TikTok creator, who goes by the name of Arthur Fleck, and he had a series of videos about how he met the devil, and the devil gave him a career that he just couldn't get off the ground himself. And this is true for a lot of celebrities. But he basically he'd gotten off of a tour. He had no money. He didn't really have any fans. His career was going nowhere, and he was just crying about it. And he swore up and down that the devil pretty much answered his cries that night without him realizing it. Because a few weeks later, he was called to go to the offices in Sony, which I think was in New York. He had a guy who he didn't realize, but now he realizes that guy was the devil, and the guy had him sign the contract, that he would make, 10 million. He would invest. This guy was going to invest like $10 million in him, and he would make $100 million back out of it. And so, he was really skeptical about it, but he was desperate, so he decided to go ahead and give it a try, So he signed the contract, and it wasn't even a month later. He had he had hundreds of millions of dollars. He was selling out concerts and stuff all over the place. He was going to this guy's mansion, and there was all these beautiful women there that just all the time, he accessed all the best drugs and everything else. But as time went on, this guy started telling him this story about how his father, and how when he was a kid, his father and him had a really terrible relationship. He started telling Arthur Fleck about how him and his father had this really terrible relationship. One day they finally had a blow up, and he stormed out of his father's house just crying his eyes out, and he told his father before he left, "One day you'll work for me, not the other way around." And he started realizing that the more he looked around Hollywood, this guy was the devil, and he was telling him a first-hand account of his own fall from heaven when he was the archangel Lucifer, and his father was God, and they got into it, and God told him he had to go because he was basically trying to take over and make God work for him. And then he somehow or another, Arthur Fleck had realized that he started reading into this guy's interactions with other celebrities, a lot of whom had died. And he was into the paranormal and the occult already, so he started putting two and two together. And that was how he found out this guy was actually the devil, and that everyone who made a deal with him had to be sacrificed in blood as part of the deal, or their career had to be sacrificed, or their relationship with their family had to be sacrificed. There was always some kind of major sacrifice had to be made as a result of the deal that they had made with him. And somehow or another he got out, but there was only like 8 short videos in the series where he gave a basic rundown of how he thought the devil had come into his life, how the devil gave him the career, how he found out this guy was the devil, and then how it basically ended when he realized there was a sacrifice. But the last video, he said he was going to be ending the series because he had been threatened for putting this stuff out there in the first place, and he didn't go into any detail about how he had gotten out. He just said he got out before it was too late and he had to be sacrificed, but he didn't go into any detail about exactly how it was he got out. And if you look at a lot of celebrities, so many of them have died, or they've had really close loved ones die. And you've seen, people's careers implode too. It's not always like the death of a loved one of theirs or themselves. Sometimes they sacrifice, their careers, but there always has to be some sort of sacrifice as a result of that.
Well, didn't that last video, didn't he say, or what, that wasn't his last video. I saw a video where, did he say something about Jay-Z or Diddy, and then he kind of backtracked on it?
Oh, that was Kanye West, because he was doing this, supposedly Kanye West was, as we all know, Kanye West was on this big rant about Jews and stuff, and running Hollywood, and how the devil was running Hollywood and stuff, and he was in league with the Jews. He went on these big tirades about it, and he said they were going to retaliate against him for. Kanye said they were going to retaliate against him for saying all this stuff and exposing him, and that when they did, he would probably disappear, and then for a while, like drop out of the public spotlight, and then he would reappear. But when he reappeared, he said it wouldn't be him because they were going to either off him or they were going to destroy his career, but they were just going to make it look like he took a break. So what happened was, there was not too long after he started doing that, he supposedly went into this bipolar episode because Kanye West is supposed to be mentally ill. He supposedly was not on his medications, so he was, even though he was a billionaire, he wasn't on his medication. He was having a psychotic episode, and he was going down to Skid Row hanging out with homeless people and stuff all the time. So the first video was where Arthur Fleck was talking about how they used that as a cover story, that Kanye West had flipped his lid because he wasn't on his meds, and his mother had recently passed and he was having a breakdown because of that, which is interesting coming back to the sacrifice concept. But and they said that he had just went off his rocker and he was hanging out down on Skid Row. But in the first video, Arthur Fleck said that he actually went down. He was in the area around Skid Row one day, and the guy that looked just like Kanye came up to him not too far from where all the homeless encampments were, and he said it was Kanye West told him, they did what I warned everybody they were going to do. They froze my bank accounts. They've removed me from, they've destroyed my career. They've destroyed my fortune and everything. I've lost everything, and now I'm down here. And they're in the media telling everybody that I just went crazy, and I'm in a mental hospital, in and out of mental hospitals and hanging out with homeless people. But what they really did was they froze my bank accounts, so I couldn't pay any of my bills or debts to them, and I've lost everything, and now I'm down here. And they're going to act like I recovered and replace me with a body double. That was the first video that Arthur Fleck did on that, because he said he met Kanye not too long after that, because he was a big rapper and he was in some of those circles. And then he did another video. Okay, I did a little more digging to elaborate further on the whole story I told in the first video, and I found out that Kanye actually had been having mental issues, and according to his first wife, which I think was, or his wife, his former wife, Kim Kardashian, I don't know if she was his first or not, but she said Kanye would disappear for days at a time because he was psychotic and he was not taking his meds, and he was having a real hard time coping with his mother's death, and that he would go missing for days or weeks at a time, come back sometimes after wearing the same clothes he had been wearing for weeks, not having had taken a shower. And so he said it was actually true that Kanye was just having mental problems, and that's why he was disappearing for weeks at a time. Yeah, because he said it first in the first video. He had said, well, okay, he was making all these statements about Hollywood, the people who really run Hollywood and all this, and how people sell their souls to the devil. And he warned everybody he was going to be framed as being crazy and then replaced with someone else. And then he said in that video he had met him too after they'd actually destroyed his career. And not too long after that, he supposedly made a big comeback and was doing better again. But he had said in that first video it wasn't the real Kanye. And then he backtracked, but he made that second video where he backtracked and said he had done some research, and it turned out Kanye was just completely off his rocker, and he was going down and hanging out on Skid Row because he wasn't on his meds, and he was having a psychotic episode.
That's weird because, I mean, look at, there's so many of that happened to Chappelle. Remember he supposedly and went to Africa or something, and then Britney Spears, Wendy Williams. Who else? There's somebody else right now. I'm thinking I can't think of. There's just several of them that, like in Wendy Williams, I don't even know what's going on with her. Like she said, somebody took over her money. And she has a conservatorship, but she doesn't know who it is. And I mean, and then people were saying on TMZ that doesn't seem to be insane. But she's saying it's because she crossed Jay-Z. There's a lot of people.
That was exactly what Arthur Fleck said in that first video about Kanye. He said Kanye approached him on the street not too far from Skid Row when he was hanging out, and he said, "They did what I warned you about. They're saying that I went crazy, but what really happened is they destroyed my career, and I'm homeless now, and they're going to act like I made a comeback, but it'll be somebody posing as me." It's interesting too. This kind of veers off into the world of politics. I don't know if you and Roger saw saw Trump's latest one of Trump's Truth Social posts last week, and Donald Trump actually did post this. You can look it up, where he said that Joe Biden was assassinated back in 2020, and they put body doubles and even AI generated images of him in place of the real him making speeches.
Trump said that? Really?
Yeah, he did.
Wow.
Did you remember that, Roger?
Yeah, were you talking about Biden?
Yeah, did you see Trump's Truth Social post?
Well, I try to stay away from a lot of Donald Trump's Truth Social posts.
Oh no.
That's like committing suicide by saying something like that, isn't it?
That's fine. But I was just wondering if you had seen that particular post as it relates to what we were talking about with people.
I've heard some of it.
I don't know why Trump would say that. Doesn't he know everybody thinks he's nuts?
Well, it all stemmed from the pen. Okay, they had this pen that they say that Biden was just
the auto pen.
The auto pen, where they were just automatically signing stuff, and that's where it started from. So I mean, like, I
But to say that he's dead, because I just saw a thing where they interviewed Biden the other night, but it was kind of weird. I mean, he doesn't act like he knows where he's at, but wow, I mean,
he's definitely senile.
And they said that part of the reason they were coming up with the cancer diagnosis for him so now, even though he's had it for years, was to cover for the fact that the real one was actually dead. Now there was actually instances there was actually at least a couple instances in the former Soviet Union decades ago where the premiers had died, and the Russian people didn't know about it for like months or years in some cases.
Wow.
And this was before AI and all that stuff, where they can completely create fake videos of world leaders making speeches they never made and everything else. The technology is way more sophisticated than we know.
Well, when it comes to AI and everything, the more that I'm doing research into that, which I've been doing it amazingly a lot in the last year, but the more I check it out, the more I see like a lot of esoteric aspects to it, like that a lot of people aren't even aware of. Like most of this stuff everybody calls computer science isn't really computer science. It's straight up esoteric shit. Excuse my.
It's weird. My boyfriend and I watched a show about it with Bill Gates, and then he said a lot of young people are starting to create their own partners and stuff because they just aren't interacting with humans and don't know how. So it's strange. It's really strange. But the
Yeah,
weird
so I mean,
thing is,
so
I keep seeing the whole thing like they said Britney Spears went crazy, and now she's got a conservatorship over. Somebody's got control over her money. Wendy Williams, Chappelle supposedly, but he said that he was never crazy, that he just needed to get away, and he didn't want to deal with them. So that was. But then when he left, that's what they said about him. They were like, "Oh, he's lost his mind, and we don't know if he'll ever be back
yeah,
again," because he said, "No, I'm not going to take your contracts and do what you want me to do with them." So that's what he said.
and
And
Cat Williams said the same thing too.
oh, yeah,
Because
he
didn't
said,
they?
but
He said
he's got something to do with a lot of them. And somebody said Britney Spears and had pissed off Jay-Z somehow too. But I think I'm surprised he hasn't been charged with something, knowing Diddy as well as he does. You know, they were friends. He has to know. He had to be involved in that stuff.
yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. And another, I do wonder, because Trump was talking about those clones and AI body doubles and what have you. You remember back when they cloned Dolly the sheep
Yeah.
back in the early 2000s, and then they said, well, this didn't work out so well. We're not going to research cloning anymore, and we're certainly never going to clone humans. And then that was the last we ever heard of it. Does anybody really believe that the government would stop cloning people?
Well,
I mean,
actually,
body doubles are part of security details for these people, so why wouldn't they clone them?
they actually had something in Ancient Aliens on an episode they had in their later episodes where, and I don't know for sure if it's true or not, but they said that that's not really the case because I think it was in Japan or somewhere over in the Orient they cloned or they made twin clones, two kids that were twins over there, and the guy who did it actually got put in prison for 3 years and was released.
Hmm.
So I know, and there are rumors that another human named Eve was actually cloned. So I think that one was in South America.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that vaguely.
So
I do vaguely remember hearing about that. And it's interesting too. What I was going to tie that Biden Trump thing back to, and the Kanye thing back to, was another story going clear back to the '60s when they said for some reason that we still don't understand today that Paul McCartney had actually died and had been replaced. And the Beatles were in their they were in their psychedelic phase and all that time, and so they were slipping all these subtle messages into their songs like "I Am the Walrus" and "Strawberry Fields Forever" about Paul McCartney having died and been replaced with another one. But the weird thing about it, you know, you could attribute to them all just to having been too strung out on acid and having paranoid delusions and stuff back then, but to this day, Ringo Starr is actually still going around saying that the real Paul McCartney was actually killed and was actually replaced with like a body double or a clone. So it makes me wonder if when they supposedly cloned Dolly the sheep back in the early 2000s, if this was the first time that something like this had been pulled off, or if it was just them making something that they've been doing for maybe decades public.
Elvis, they keep running around saying he's alive, but I'm sure he's.
Oh yeah. He may have been one that was just sacrificed because he sold his soul to the devil, though, and he really is dead.
He was in such bad shape on his last concert. I don't even know how he made it through that, and that was shortly after that he died. So.
Yeah, he was.
If he was sacrificed to this cult, you know what the intentions to that was, don't you? They were
No.
They were gonna eat his ass.
Oh, Elvis.
Elvis. I would have, if I was a cannibal, dude, Elvis would have been right on the plate, dude. He was fat and succulus,
Yeah.
or whatever they call it. You know,
You look.
I do wonder. I do wonder if there is some cannibalism. You've heard of the adrenochrome conspiracy, haven't you, Roger?
no.
I've
The
never heard.
adrenochrome, the
What?
adrenochrome thing.
Tell me about
So
it.
basically, I thought you of all people had heard about this since you were like a big conspiracy buff and you were into all kinds of
Well,
weird
I
stuff.
mean, I
But
might know it, but I'd like to hear you say it because I want to hear you.
oh,
Huh?
you just want to hear
I want to hear you.
my side of it.
Your,
Okay,
give me your
so
elegant.
basically the adrenochrome thing, huh?
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. So the adrenochrome thing, it actually does tie into like the Hollywood conspiracies thing, and it's pretty out there. I don't know for sure if I believe it myself, but since you mentioned like the cannibals thing, it just reminded me of it. So it was like basically the adrenochrome is a chemical it's an endorphin that's produced in the brains of children when they're traumatized, be it through being molested or raped or put in very terrifying situations. So basically the theory went that, you know, Diddy and Weinstein and Epstein had this in their trafficking rings. Children would be terrified from being kidnapped and molested and stuff. And somehow or another, these celebrities were getting adrenochrome from these traumatized children, which is the endorphin produced by their brains when they're traumatized. And these celebrities were consuming adrenochrome to stay young. And they were even using it as a beauty product, applying it like on their skin and stuff.
Isn't
Now,
there
I mean,
animal
that is
said-
pretty. I know it sounds pretty crazy,
But wasn't
but
there animal too? They said that if it was scared, it tasted better. Or fish.
oh yeah, like a toad, like there was some kind of psychedelic toad. You'd scare it, and it would emit some kind of psychedelic, and you would lick it, and the trip would be stronger if it was scared.
It was actually some kind of I don't know what it was. They said if the animal was scared, the meat tasted better. I can't remember what it
Oh,
was.
veal?
Huh?
Was it veal? Like
It
like
might-
calves, you would scare them all bad before you'd slaughter them, and the meat would be
Yeah.
juicier. More.
It was kind
The
of
same kind of thing.
yeah, and
Wow.
they still believe, you know,
You
some
guys,
kind of crazy.
Yeah. But that was kind of basically what the adrenochrome thing was, and it ties into another Hollywood conspiracy theory called Pizzagate, where they were actually eating brains of children with adrenochrome in them.
Well, that's like that Mountain Dew thing that I sent you, isn't it? Something like that,
Mhm. Yeah.
or like I don't know what that's about. Have you heard that, Roger?
Yeah.
The Mount.
I've heard of it through Pizzagate, and what this goes into is something kind of like a interview that Jaffe off of the World Pirate Radio Network last night did, where he had a girl who says that she was involved with MK Ultra, and
Oh,
and that they had her actually be a sex slave, and she had some interesting things to say about freaking the Beatles as well. Not only that, but Mick Jagger. And like I really don't buy into all of that 100%, but there are things that you have to really think about. Like, have you ever seen the original video for "Sympathy of the Devil" for the Devil with Mick Jagger?
I
I
don't
heard
know.
the song, but I never saw the original video.
Well,
I don't think so.
he was performing live, and in the audience it had what's his name, John Lennon and his wife. What is her name again?
Yoko.
Yoko
Yoko.
Okay.
Ono. They were in the video, and it's just when you watch this video, it's really really creepy. Okay, I mean really really creepy the way he did it, and um, I've also had some things that makes me think about the Georgia Guidestones too. I honestly believe that maybe Yoko Ono was the one who was behind all that, who created those stones. And
Now, did you see there's a video out there, I don't know if I sent it to you, Austin, about Sasha Fierce and Beyonce. And she's in this concert and she does this, like she's swinging her head around, she swings it back up, and it looks like her face looks like the devil just for a moment, and it's pretty creepy. So that, you know how she goes and says she has this alter image, Sasha
Yeah,
Fierce. Well,
yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
well, I don't know if I did. I may not have sent it to you, but when she does look really weird. But I was thinking, oh, it's just because she's swinging her head down and back up. But it was strange. It's kind of like that sounds like that Mick Jagger thing where there's something going on. But yeah, and so people were saying
hmm
she sold her soul to the Illuminati. They've said that about her and that Sasha Fierce thing for a while. But now they have,
yeah, and like Sasha Fierce is a demon that enters her because she sold her soul to Satan. So Sasha Fierce takes over.
yeah.
and the
Well,
the scariest part about all, or not really the scariest, but the hardest part about all this is like you really do have to take mental illness into consideration. You know what I mean? Because like
yeah,
when you're listening to these guys, you got to be careful because well, you really don't have to be careful because if it did happen to them, they're going to have mental illness. If it didn't happen to them and they're saying it just out of like mental illness, then that's also another thing. So either way you look at it, they're going to have mental illness. You know what I mean? It's just a matter.
Yeah. Well, yeah, spiritual mental illness a lot of times comes from spiritual illness, which obviously, if they sold their souls to Satan, they're spiritually ill, and
yeah.
and they're going to be traumatized
Yeah,
from
experience.
being mixed up and all that shit. So yeah, I can absolutely see it.
You know.
Did you see the woman? She was the balance beam Olympic person, Mary Lou Retner. What's her name?
Yeah, Ratner. Isn't she the one that took it to the leg, or was she the one that had her boyfriend do it with the pole?
No, Gator. This was like she was a balance beam person back in, I think I would have to say maybe even the 70s. But she
Now
was
you were
just,
thinking of the ice skaters, Roger. That was
yeah.
Tanya Harding and Nancy Kerrigan fiasco.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was Mary Lou Retner or I forget, I don't know how to pronounce her name, but she just this last week was picked up for DUI, or maybe a couple weeks ago. And now they're saying she's missing. They said that she, I guess she lives by herself. I don't know if it's Arizona or someplace that, but the neighbor was saying, well, something's going on. Her meal's not been picked up. The paper's not been picked up. So according to the story I read, she's missing, and her family's not from around where she's at. They're not very close with her, and they hadn't heard from her. They just knew that she got picked up for DUI, but nobody seems to know where she went. So at last, unless the story's not true, but it was supposed to be. And that was weird too. She's an old Olympic. She had a little short hair. She was real cute.
I remember the
Um,
name. I do remember the name.
yeah,
I just got it
it,
mixed up.
it was a long time ago. Yeah, but and she got sick a few years ago with something, and then I don't know what's been going on with her, but it's strange. I mean, how did she just disappear?
Well,
And they said her house, like a hoarder's house, it was a mess, and they don't know what's happened. And but you know what's weird? You don't hear like some of these stories you think would be on the mainstream news. This was an Olympic person. I mean, it was on the news that she got picked up for DUI, but now that she's missing, you're really not seeing a whole lot about it. So it's strange how, the news just kind of picks and chooses what they want to put out there, you know.
Absolutely. There's a narrative. There's a narrative. They're trying to shape the world with their narrative. So they gotta cherry pick what they put out, and they gotta cherry pick what they tell us about what they've cherry picked. And
Well, yeah, and like that Denver airport lady, I hadn't heard anything about that at all, but I saw it like yesterday. I hadn't been on TikTok in a while. And I got on there and I was like, well, how come nobody, I've never seen this even on the news.
No, and that should be huge.
Did you see it, Roger, where this Denver airport lady was saying they threw her, I think they put, I don't know if they arrested her, I guess, but she was in the Denver, it was a Denver airport, Austin? Yeah.
Yeah.
She was reading this note, said her and her kids were going to be kidnapped or had been kidnapped, and she needed to tell everybody something worse was coming than 9/11, and that she had to read this, and she was reading it, and I mean, it's on YouTube. She's reading all this stuff off, and she acts scared and stuff. She doesn't act like she's insane. So a lot of people believe that that something's going on. And they said Denver airport's kind of a weird place anyhow. But you didn't even see it on the news? I mean, come on.
No. You think, well, if you're, you can't trust the mainstream media to report on anything hardly remotely important or even halfway truthful anymore.
Well, and all they do is get on, whether you like Trump or not, by the time they get done with, it's insane. It's like,
that's all they talk about.
Act like kindergartners.
Every story they talk about is about Trump.
Yeah.
Well, and they'd have talked so much about him when he wasn't even the president that they kind of made him president. But he's just, it's like, they act like they're 2 years old. Well, President Trump's not speaking to Elon today. And it's just the way, he is, or, like, it's so stupid. I'm like, I don't even watch the news, any of it anymore. It's just crazy.
You can't. No, I don't either. I can't do it.
Me and Mr. Robot and Mark Edworthy just did a show on different stages of warfare. Like, you have different generations, okay, and like Vietnam all the way up to the Iraqi war, which the Iraqi war is kind of stretching it, but that was considered the fourth generation of warfare. And now we're entering into a fifth generation of warfare where you'll start seeing people acting crazy because of psychological warfare, okay? And when you see Donald Trump being done that way, who's the president of the United States, that's a psychological effect that's being done to you. You know what I'm saying? Because you're not used to that, whereas freaking they know that, so they're using it so they could screw your head up.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's a form of psychological warfare.
It's psychological. They're psychological operations or psyops,
Right.
for short.
Right.
And they're doing it to make people insane.
That's why everything seems so backwards.
So, yeah.
And to make you feel goofy in your head because everything seems upside down and inside out, when in reality it's not you, it's the way that they're actually wanting you to perceive things. They want to cause that confusion.
They're kind
and
of
the way you feel and the way you think shapes your reality too. Right. So if you feel all screwed up, your reality becomes all screwed up and you lose control of it. It's felt like that since 2020. They really turned things upside down, and they really screwed a lot of things up.
Yep.
Just without even firing a single shot. Just scaring the hell out of people.
Yeah, AI is taking over though, because I had some issues with my T-Mobile, and oh my God, they sent me 2 towers. They were only supposed to send one. They were supposed to replace one for free or some crap. But anyway, my boyfriend and I were here. We did like almost 3 hours. They were supposed to take out these little chips because the chip wasn't registering or something, and all kinds of crap. And I told the rep, I said, I live basically 8 minutes from T-Mobile. So can I go over there? And she's like, well, I think this will do it and this will do it. So finally she couldn't get it done. And I said, I had to get off the phone. It was ridiculous. So anyway, we go over to T-Mobile. He does it. He takes care of it in about 5 minutes, which was good. But then The next day, I needed to set up my alarms in the house on a 2G, like, network instead of the 5. So I called and you get an AI and it assistant and it walks you through. And I thought, oh, this is going to be great. But really, it only took me about 5, maybe not even 10 minutes, and I had it done. And I was telling my boyfriend, I was like, we're always giving AI hell. I said, but look, that we probably could have done that yesterday if we had an AI walking us through it in 20 minutes. I said, instead of a human that she kept getting, she didn't know what was going on or why it wasn't connecting and all this stuff. So
Getting
that's kind of
brainwashed.
scary. Huh?
Yeah,
You're getting brainwashed.
Well, not
yeah.
brainwashed, but actually, the AI is really weird because I would be like, she'd tell me how to set it up. I'd get to a point and I'd say, I didn't get that, and she'd say, okay, we'll go back, and she'd say, I did, now try it again. She's just like a human, and she said, okay, are you ready? And I say yeah, and then go to the next thing. It was really strange, but she was very efficient. So that's strange.
And if you didn't know any better, you could have swore it was a real person.
Yep.
Which
Well,
and
better than the real
you
person
said
before.
you said yourself, you said yourself that Jay-Z bought a lot of AI, and let's face it, he's a billionaire, right? He can probably buy way better AI bots than you have any access to. So
Well,
who's to say the world leaders and celebrities that our media can't replace these people with AI bots, and we wouldn't know the difference? How sophisticated has it gotten at their level?
yeah,
You
like
know?
that Katy Perry thing is so strange. I don't know if Roger's seen it, but I've seen that video a couple times you sent to me. That
Well,
is
yeah, like she's glitching out on stage like she's a robot. What the hell's up with her?
now. Maybe
Well,
that's what's wrong with it.
she's doing that because of all the jokes people are making towards her about freaking going to outer space. Like
Well,
She
yeah, I
didn't
know
go to outer space.
still,
she went into
but
outer space on a shuttle that looks like a penis, dude.
yeah, and
She
you were
didn't
at
go to outer space. That whole thing was a simulation. Those people didn't go.
but
I don't even buy it.
Well,
You want to talk about Hollywood conspiracies? There is a conspiracy there, because they came back in that thing, and the capsule wasn't even burnt up, and the door didn't open from the right side, and they probably just went into one of those things where you lose gravity for a second, and they had an image superimposed of space behind it.
well, and
But
I think
I don't think.
Gail
And
Kim
they were wearing like makeup and stuff, and all their jewelry and stuff. Like, you're not supposed to be doing that.
right,
They
and I
didn't.
heard
They,
it canceled because of it too. Because I never did like her, but Katy Perry in that thing was she looked like an AI. But yeah,
yeah.
there was a lot of criticism because they spent so much money supposedly too, and everybody's just
They don't even have any footage of the rocket they were on supposedly taking off. And the one video they subbed it for doesn't even look real. Not even They don't even try to make it look good.
I
and they
mean,
were going on women's rights or something like back when we
Well,
were.
like they were the first female astronauts. Oh, come on.
but
It was a
seriously
astronaut.
though, I mean, you guys don't think it's something that it was literally shaped like a freaking penis, dude.
I didn't see
Well,
that.
yeah, there was that too, but
That
aren't
I mean,
all rockets kind of shaped like penises, though? I mean,
okay.
I don't know.
The first all women supposed crew that goes into outer space flies out of the freaking orbit of Earth in a spaceship the shape of a freaking penis, dude. Seriously.
Yeah, I think it's kind of weird. I never thought about that. But yeah.
yeah, I didn't think about that. That's not very feministic. It's not very
Yeah, it's
gonna go over well with the feminists.
well, I mean, it's weird shit like that. That's what I'm talking about, and that's what goes on these days, and people just go freaking nuts over it. You know what I mean? It's like, and
Well, people were upset about that one though. That didn't go over like they thought it was going to.
No, it was
Yeah.
that went over about as well as Beyonce being country.
Yeah, her content too. She happened to cancel and give money back on tickets and everything else.
What country stars or what did the country fans do? Did they like throw stuff at her and everything?
Well, a lot of
Nobody.
but the problem is, I think they were going thinking she was going to play some of her pop music, and they weren't pleased with her. Even though when she played the country stuff, they said she just is not put on the performance she usually does, and the tickets were too expensive. So a lot of them are wanting their money back. It's a lot of her fans, amazingly,
I don't think anybody who's really a country fan is going to go see Beyonce in concert, especially to sing country. Because she just isn't. The whole thing was a fuck you to people who actually do like country music.
But
Nothing more, nothing less.
She's just kind of going through the motions. Like usually her show's good, but she's not really putting much effort into it either. I don't know. I've never seen her in concert, but yeah. Well, her whole thing being associated with Jay-Z has pretty much tarnished her image, and it's tarnished his too. I don't think they're going to be able to come back from it very well, even if they don't get implicated in something.
Well, I mean, with P. Diddy, I also want to point something out. I had to clear up something that I'd said previously, or I've said quite a few times, and I think I should probably say it here too, but I found out that the baby oil was not actually bought from Costco's.
What? Where was it bought from?
I for some reason thought that there was a receipt, a physical receipt that was given to him.
They did say that. Didn't they say that?
That's what I was.
They did say that.
That's what I was under the impression of. But then I found out that the rumors actually started because his lawyer heard or was asked about the baby oil, and he goes, 1,000 bottles of baby oil. He's like, who the heck would buy $1,000 of baby oil? And besides, Costco's is just down the street, and that's apparently where it all started.
Okay.
So
Whatever.
But and then I thought about it. I was like, I mean, where I saw that was actually off of a video. And I mean, if somebody wanted to, I mean, if you take a look at it, most AIs do that stuff where you say receipt and it shows an AI footage of a receipt being handed off. So I don't know. I have to look at that video again to see if it was actually him, like a receipt laying down somewhere and what it says on there. But that's
well, there's so much going on with that. There's so much going on with that whole Diddy thing that we haven't even heard yet because a lot of stuff's held back and as the trial unfolds too. So, it's really hard for the general public to know what the truth is and isn't right now, especially.
Yeah, there's some people reporting on it, what's going on, but it's just turned into a big circus. But yeah.
Well, I did find out that there was not only baby oil, but there was something like Astroglide that was involved. So
Astroglide.
So apparently he had like crap loads of freaking baby oil stored up and Astroglide. And at first I thought it might have been like for slip and slide kind of things where you put it on there.
Oh, and that was there was this one.
We all know what it was for.
Huh?
We all know what it was for.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, I really didn't understand what Astroglide was actually used for in unrelated P. Diddy freaking.
Oh.
You know what I mean? I have no, that's the first time I even heard of Astroglide. Like,
well,
what's he got these girls doing, man? You know what I mean? Like,
well, not just he was doing other stuff too. And there was this guy, and the lawsuit's still out there. I saw it on YouTube. He's saying that he ended up at a party. I don't know who he is, but he said he ended up at this party and that he did something wrong and that Diddy was humiliating him, and he was taken underneath the mansion into this room, and they put weird stuff on his head and they were doing weird things. But he said Beyonce and Jay-Z was there, and um what's that woman that used to do the Miami Sound Machine? Emilio Estevez, his wife,
Um,
she was there, but she wasn't
Gloria Estefan.
Gloria. Yeah, he said she saw him and he was drugged. And he said that she said to her husband, somebody needs to do something about him. What is going on? And he said, don't worry about it. And so they took him into this room and they supposedly humiliated him and raped him. And I guess it was supposed to be Jay-Z and Diddy, but he said Beyonce had something to do with it too. And then Emilio Estevez and his wife, I guess they knew something, but they went on they weren't participants. I guess they thought that Diddy was taking care of things with him because they knew that he was out of it. So everybody was laughing about it, and they were laughing at him. This has been a few months ago. Everybody was laughing. They said he's just nuts. This guy's obviously delusional, even though Diddy's crazy. Well, now in the trial, it's coming up. It's come up quite a few times. Usher even said it, that in this mansion, there's 3 different types, 3 rooms down there underneath the mansion that are like, I don't know if they're like torture chambers or sexual rooms, but Usher said he didn't see much of them because he didn't participate, but he said Diddy showed the rooms to him, said you're not ready for this or something. And then also Cassie said something about it. So now they're thinking, well, maybe this guy's not so crazy anyway, after all. Because
that was Candace Owens, I think, did a video about that, didn't she? Because you sent me a video. That guy was charged with killing somebody back in like 2017, and he was talking about it at his trial back then, and everybody thought he was nuts. And now it's coming out that it actually he was talking about did happen.
It might.
I can't remember what his name was.
But
another thing.
It's really weird. People I think they're starting to believe him, and I think that lawsuit's still out there, but there's so much going on,
Well, you said Emilio Estevez. You know what that also kind of runs into too, don't you?
No.
It goes into those claims that Corey Haim made about Charlie Sheen taking and molesting him when he was freaking. He ended up committing suicide, or a lot of people say that it wasn't suicide, his family and everything, but.
Oh yeah, Corey, another one. What was the else? They said he
was a child actor, wasn't he?
Yep. It was Charlie Sheen. He accused of freaking doing all that stuff to him, and he didn't have a good relationship with his parents when he was alive, and then when he ended up passing away, they started saying, "Oh no, he didn't commit suicide, and he wasn't molested or anything like that." You know what I mean? And Corey Feldman screamed from the top of his lungs, "No, this is what happened." And to this day, people still refuse to listen to him. They don't want to hear that Charlie Sheen molested Corey Feldman or Corey Helms.
Yeah, and
Corey Hames.
Well, Charlie Sheen
yeah,
and too. Mm-hmm. So that's another one that went off the deep end for a while, but actually did.
Yeah, what happened? What exactly happened to him? What's going on with him these days? He dropped off the face of the earth, and you never hear from him anymore.
Who, Charlie Sheen?
Yeah, I know he had HIV last I heard, but that's the last I heard, and now I don't hear nothing about him anymore.
Well, if you remember correctly, though, he had HIV, and then he started freaking doing shit where he was having sex with women while he had HIV, and they put him on house arrest because of it, and that and drugs.
But but now he's
like he's charged with if you have HIV and you're knowingly giving it to people through sex like that's like bioterrorism or something, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it's against the law, but I don't think he was really ever charged with anything. I think of course he had to retire from the show because he botched that all up, but I guess he's just, calmed down by now. I mean, yeah.
I don't know.
Oh man, I miss.
But there was that thing about him having HIV and giving it to women. That leads me to another interesting topic that was on my list about. There was the Grim Reaper, and she was a mystery woman in Hollywood who was spreading HIV to male celebrities by sleeping around with them.
That was
And she supposed
right?
that was another Arthur Fleck video, and he said he knew who it was, and he knew all the celebrities she had given it to, but he didn't say who she was, obviously. But was it? I wonder if it's somebody that got it. She said she got it when she was 17, so I wonder if she got it from Charlie Sheen. I mean, you put two and two together with what Roger was just talking about.
Oh, J-Lo wasn't with him. J-Lo wasn't.
You think? Yeah, I mean, if that's who it was, but I don't know.
I don't know. She's just she really is crazy, but she thinks she's.
Yeah, she is. She's another one that's in the whole Diddy Epstein Weinstein thing, which I actually think all three of those things are one. I think they're one. I think they were a single trafficking ring ran by all these people, in concert with each other.
And she covered up that shooting, according to a lot of people, and she knows that Diddy did it. So they could actually take her to trial again if they think there's no statute of limitations on that. If Diddy did it, instead, poor guy they said did it, did 10 years in prison. But,
I still think he had something to do with Tupac's death too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really do. I've had a conversation with a guy named Angel who was on Skype and now Teams, but like he just doesn't believe it, and like he does. But at the same time, he doesn't believe that freaking Michael Jackson did anything to those little kids either. You know what I mean? He was just a really nice guy who liked kids.
Some people won't believe that. They just won't.
I don't know how somebody could not believe that he was a pedophile, because it's pretty obvious that he was.
Yeah.
I can't wrap my head around that. That's like saying that O.J. Simpson's innocent. That's just it's just about that bad.
He is, but he's not.
Well, let me point something out though about that though. During the time of the LA riots, when his trial was going on, I saw a few people that were sitting out there with freaking signs saying "Free OJ." You know what I mean? Like back whenever.
Oh yeah.
Back
there
when
was people said did it.
Yeah.
Else did it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He had all this support back when it was going on, and then as time went by, people just started saying, "Oh man, I don't know what I was thinking."
Yeah. And now too, though, there's like a lot of shows on it that show what some of the stuff that wasn't shown in the trial, and so people were like, "Oh my gosh, well, if I'd have known that, of course I would have thought he was guilty." But there was a lot of things that people didn't know about, and a lot of things they didn't put in the trial. Because what's the guy that he wrote a book that was with Marcia Clark, Chris Darden, wasn't it? Yeah. And he was talking about how they wouldn't let him put a lot of things in the trial, like the woman OJ almost hit a woman. He ran through a red light and almost hit her, coming right from Nicole's house, and the timeline was perfect. And then so she told the LA police, and she said, "You can't let anybody know about this. This is so high profile. I don't want my life ruined." And they said they wouldn't tell anybody. Well, they didn't tell anybody, but the media got a hold of it, and she lost her job and all kinds of stuff because there was just media all over it, and they were trying to interview her and bothering her. Well, she found out that OJ had put it out there that he knew somebody in the LA police department. He found out that she had said something about it, and he got it out there and messed up her life. And that's what she said. And she said then it was never put in the trial because, it was just she didn't want to do it anymore. And so, and now I think they didn't really, they believed her, but there was just stuff.
Yeah,
He just squelched it.
same thing with freaking Tupac. They've had evidence that IDs the guy who they're accusing of it now. They've had that for like 20 years, and
Yeah.
they sat on it. The LAPD just completely sat on it and said freaking that they didn't think that it would be worth pushing the trial forward because they didn't want to escalate another riot.
It's funny to me that OJ was always running around saying the LA police planted stuff, but because really, that's what one of the detectives was saying is, and this woman too, she was like, well, there was officers that he bought off. And when Nicole told her sister when the police would come to their house after she called them and said that OJ beat the crap out of her, the police wouldn't even pay any attention to her, and they go outside in the yard and take pictures with OJ. So
And ask for his autograph and stuff.
there was a lot going on with police officers and stuff in him. He bought people off and all kinds of stuff.
That's a lot of the same thing. It's the same thing with Diddy. He's bought a lot of people off, or had people intimidated or murdered, or God only knows what.
These people going to trial act like they're safe, but I don't know how safe they are. They think they're safe because he's in jail, but like you said, like OJ was in jail too, but he was getting to people.
Those people can do business from behind bars. Just look at Pablo Escobar. They locked him up. He had people. He had a business network still on the outside, and all he had to do was make phone calls to a couple people who, on the outside, who went and told other people. And, he was able to do business from behind bars. Still,
and OJ's friend,
that's the thing with those people.
AJ Cowlings or whatever, or even his lawyer, they hid stuff. I think his lawyer threw the bag away, or he knew something about that bag that he had that had all the evidence in it. He threw it away in the airport.
Well, OJ had Al Sharpton though. See, that was the thing, and like that's the one thing I said whenever I was talking about OJ and relating him to freaking P. Diddy was, if you take a look at what's going on today with P. Diddy's trial, they keep emphasizing on how much he freaking abused his girlfriend, and that's always in the spotlight, and they're throwing it up in the courtroom. And if you remember back with O.J. Simpson, that's what screwed their case up with him too, because they kept talking about, oh, look how horrible he was. He beat her this time and that time. And they literally thought that was going to help, when in fact it actually gave the opposite effect. People.
Well, it was all they focused on. They hyper focused on it when they needed to focus on some other stuff.
Right.
Well,
So there was that too.
Was one of the detectives that,
and they likened O.J. Simpson to Rodney King.
Yeah.
They
was Cochran. If it hadn't been for Johnny Cochran, it's Johnny Cochran, and that's what Chris Darden said.
Yeah,
and
Cochran, you're right.
Once Johnny Cochran turned it into race and tied it to Rodney King, him and Marcia Clark were done. He said, and that shouldn't have been done, but it worked. But they had evidence. There was blood in the Bronco. Nicole's blood was in the Bronco. There was blood in OJ's condominium. It was Nicole's and his. He cut his finger real bad, because the glove slipped off, they think, when he was stabbing her, and he sliced his finger, which I've watched all kinds of crime shows, and anybody that's committed a crime where there's a lot of blood and stabbing and stuff, usually they'll have a cut. And he had a big cut on his finger, and they were questioning him about that.
The whole one.
Huh? he was trying to act like he cut it, like he cut it doing something, like he broke a glass, he said, in the hotel room.
That was the whole, if the glove doesn't fit, you must report debacle.
Yeah.
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 But
That's
yeah,
what
but
they
OJ
were.
had a big cut and on him, which is it pretty much showed that he did it that night. The next day, there was blood all over everything because he had cut himself in his condo that night when they went to try to find him. But he had already got in, went to, get to go to the airport, I guess. I don't know. I don't even know how he got off. It's crazy. They could have had a video of him doing it and he would have got off.
Well, see,
You know.
the thing that I'm getting at is, like, if you look at what's happening with P. Diddy, they're doing the same thing. He's being brought up on charges of trafficking, you know what I mean? So
Right.
so focus on
They
focus on that, yeah, you know.
They're focusing
Yeah.
on the freak parties and stuff. Well, and that's really, unless he was with minors and all that stuff, I don't know how against the law it is unless the women can prove that he raped them. So really, yeah, they better get on to the racketeering stuff.
If they can prove that the people at the freak-off parties were being trafficked to be used as sex slaves by celebrities, then they've got something. But if they're just using this to smear him from a moral, ethical standpoint, they won't get a conviction out of that.
But I don't know if they can charge other people. There's people saying that J-Lo was at those parties, but she had to be with minors. I don't know if they're going to go after some of these other people, or
Yeah.
they they give them immunity. I know they did Usher. I'm pretty sure they did, but Usher was a minor, and that's a whole different thing because his mother left him there for a year, and finally he told his mom what was going on. She thought that Diddy was being a good mentor for him, but I don't know about J-Lo.
They have Diddy on camera grooming. They have Diddy on camera grooming Justin Bieber. I mean, it's right out there. You can go on YouTube and watch videos of him buying him stuff and all that.
And poor Usher too.
I mean, but they need evidence that people were being molested or that there was trafficking, which I absolutely think he was involved in that. But they need the evidence to obtain a conviction. And of course, like I said, we're not getting the full story here by any stretch of the imagination.
But I would think, though, if the FBI did like a raid like they did and he can't get out on parole, I've never seen anybody get off like that. I never have. So he probably will do some heavy prison time because they don't just go and do the raids and stuff like that unless they have a lot of evidence. And he's got videos.
Yeah, they had a warrant, and he's also been denied bail at least a few times now, because so that's telling too. So there's more going on than we know of. On the surface, it doesn't appear to be a strong case, but when you look at the fact that they got warrants to do the raids, and he's been denied bail, those two things there are pretty telling.
Yeah.
And a judge has also threatened to remove him from the courtroom. Just the other day, I think it was either yesterday or the day before, the judge apparently threatened to remove Diddy from the courtroom because they found out he was interacting with jurors.
Yeah.
And trying to influence the way they'll vote on his verdict.
But it's amazing. Jay-Z, like, he's threatened so many people, like Piers Morgan. He made Piers Morgan apologize. And then what did he do? Oh, now the lawyer, he's trying to sue that lawyer because that 13-year-old came forward, but she bowed out because she said she was getting threatened by Jay-Z and his people. But she also said she's just done. She couldn't do it. She didn't want to do it now. But she says that she was threatened. And he's just, anybody that says anything, he'll try to intimidate them or do something, you know?
Yeah, there's a lot of intimidating and bribery and stuff going on. I think that was what the judge, why he's threatened to have him not even be there in the courtroom for the hearings.
Well, Jay-Z's that way too. And Jay-Z's like, you try to sue a lawyer. How do you try to sue a lawyer for doing his job? He's like, well, he said that Busby caused him a lot of, to lose a lot of money because that 13-year-old in that case that he pressed charges against him with. But, and then, the lawyer's like, that's what I do.
Yeah.
After me. That's what lawyers do. We press charges. And he can't sit here and say that. He said she still says it happened. She just dropped it. And basically, she said it was because of him that some people showed up at her house and threatened her. But he said, let him go. Let him do it. He's not going to get anywhere with it.
Well,
No.
I mean, suing somebody is I mean, you can sue somebody. You know what I'm saying? That's.
But a lawyer,
Well, yeah,
lawyer
I
said
mean,
that
you can.
work.
That's actually like one of the few real constitutional laws that you have. You have a right
You
to
can
sue and be
uh,
sued.
That's what the lawyer said. What Tony Busby said. He said you could sue anybody for anything. Let him go ahead.
Yeah.
He said, but why do you sue me for doing that job?
But depending on the case you have, it's anybody's guess as if it's actually going to go anywhere.
Right.
You can call the police
There's
on
that.
something too, for anything. But that is what's going to happen. They have to come look. But
Now,
yeah.
stupidity would be trying to sue the judge. Yeah. Okay. Because if he tried to sue the judge, then he'd have to freaking have permission from the state and the government. And
right.
You know what I mean? That's stupid.
But people try to do stuff that's stupid.
Right.
But
right.
I mean, if he's wanting to waste that kind of money, let him waste that money, man. That's what they do. They're stupid people.
I can't believe what's going on now. It's really a lot of stuff, weird things going on. Like, yeah, like whatever happened to Jane Hackman and all that stuff. Remember them being found dead and all that? That was kind of
weird.
That
was odd too.
Yeah. Now you mentioned that in the last one we had, didn't you?
Yeah. I guess what the last I read about it is the kids were getting all the money, and it's the woman his wife had an antivirus, and so she got sick and died, and he had Alzheimer's, and he just didn't know what was going on, and so he ended up dying too.
Yeah.
A few days later, but I don't know. Yeah.
So what's the next name on your creepy list of Hollywood cult members?
Oh no.
Austin.
There's
all the next thing to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we've pretty much.
We could talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah, we covered a lot of that. Well, we could talk about Chris Cornell and Anthony Bourdain and Chester Bennington.
Oh,
that was a big one. Because supposedly, how Chris Cornell and Chris Cornell supposedly hung himself, and then Chester Bennington was supposedly so depressed about it because he was real big friends with Chris Cornell that he hung himself like a couple weeks or maybe a couple months later. And then supposedly Anthony Bourdain was real good friends with both of them, and he had issues with depression for years anyway. And so it wasn't too long after both of them that he supposedly committed suicide. But a lot of people have been saying that these three were working on a documentary called The Lost Children that was about all the sex trafficking going on in Hollywood with Epstein and Weinstein, and it may have even involved the Diddy thing, because I think Diddy, Weinstein, and Epstein were all one. I think it's all the same story. But they were supposedly doing this documentary about it, and That was why they were. Some people say the three of them were actually murdered.
Yeah, they try to say that Anthony Bourdain was like, it was his girlfriend. He had a younger girlfriend, and that she wanted an open relationship, and I guess they had one, but supposedly he saw her making out with some guy or something that was younger than him, and they said he just spiraled out of control. But a lot of people say no, he kind of, it might have upset him, but he knew that she was dating other people. That wasn't it. They said there was more to it. You know, I mean, he liked his job and everything.
Well, as much as you look at when you look at all these celebrity deaths and stuff, and how suspicious so many of them are,
Yeah.
it's not too big of a stretch to say that Chester Bennington and Chris Cornell and Anthony Bourdain dying the way they did were so close. I mean, look at all of Hillary Clinton's friends that committed suicide, quote unquote, or
Oh, yeah.
that's a common thing. She had 58 friends or affiliates that supposedly committed suicide. So I mean, it's not so far out there to say, especially if Chris Cornell and Anthony Bourdain and Chester Bennington were actually working on this documentary.
Yeah.
It was supposedly called The Lost Children.
Yeah. I don't know. That is strange. Yeah.
I haven't filled myself too much in on the whole Cornell thing. I've been hearing a little bit about it. It kind of reminds me of a lot of MK Ultra shit, to be honest with you. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really what it does. It was and a lot of this stuff that's going on right now reminds me of it, because and for me, like I said, it's really, really hard to freaking tell if it's if it's real or if it's just people who are like mentally freaking ill. Because like I've been hearing people talk about how they've been a part of freaking like satanic cults where they've sacrificed freaking humans and shit like that, or they've been a part of families that have sacrificed humans. And I'm like,
Right.
I mean,
Yep.
you hear this stuff and you're like, well, why isn't this stuff up on national television? You know what I mean? If you've survived
And
this kind of stuff, if you
that's another thing about our media, that so much of the things they tell us are just a distraction. You have to ask yourself, well, from what?
yeah.
And I think we're starting to see some of the things they're trying to distract us from.
Well, if a story's so out there, people don't believe it. It's like that. Like I was saying that with that one guy with Diddy, nobody believed him. Everybody's laughing about that. They were like, "Oh, sure, that sounds silly." But then now they're starting to, because I guess there's some special rooms or something under the mansion or something. But yeah, I mean, the more out there, sometimes the less like you are to believe it. But a lot of that stuff is true.
Yeah.
And that's what.
We're hearing so much of it, and it's always the same stories, like how, like the Paul McCartney dying and being replaced with a body double thing, and the body doubles and the security details of so many major world leaders, and then
And now they're going on about, aren't they? Didn't they say something about Prince? His death was. They thought it was weird. There was a song about an elevator, and
oh yeah, you had the "Don't let the de-elevator drag us down."
That was the guy you were talking about earlier. He said that.
Where they predict their own deaths in songs, and see, that was another thing Chris Cornell did. And you sent me a video of his last concert, and the last song he played was a song about meeting Jesus in the sky.
Yeah. And so what did Prince say? about, he said, don't.
And he said something about, he told his audience not to waste their prayers on him because it wouldn't probably do any good if because things weren't looking that good for him.
But then he's saying something about the elevator. He was found dead in the elevator.
And he sang the last song he sang, I think, at his last concert. I think the last song he ever performed was the song about the de-elevator. Don't let the de-elevator drag us down, which actually the weird thing is, in an interview years ago, he said that song was about, people asked him, what are you talking about the de-elevator? Who or what is that? And he said, the de-elevator is Satan.
Now, see, that's what I'm saying. It all gets intertwined with one another. You know what I mean? All of a sudden, Satan comes into it, and it's like this satanic cult of freaking child molesters that are out to freaking rape your children and murder your freaking wife and eat them for freaking dinner and shit. You know?
The cults of Hollywood.
Yeah.
It literally ties into the title of this whole episode. I mean, you perfectly stated that. Just
and I mean, like, do you remember what was it? What was the name of that one? The Black Dahlia. It came out back in the 90s, I think it was.
Wasn't she? Was she? But she was trying to get into Hollywood, right? And then she
was trying to get famous.
Yeah, and she was sleeping with a man, and then somebody said thought they heard her, like he killed her. Somebody killed her that she was sleeping with, I guess. But yeah, the Black Dahlia.
Kind of like, she got murdered by somebody she was sleeping with or something, trying to get famous, and she got famous, but not for what she expected to get famous for.
What was that guy? Remember from Hulk? Hogan's Heroes, real kind of a pretty good looking guy. You probably remember him, Roger. I know you do, Austin, if I could think of his name.
Hogan the guy who played as Hogan?
Hogan, yeah. He was found, remember, he was killed. It was horrible.
Yeah.
And he kind of into some sexual stuff, like with, I guess he was videotaping a lot of, and I don't know how weird it was, but people were saying he was doing a lot of stuff, and they thought maybe it was somebody's jealous boyfriend or husband.
Bob Crane.
What was Bob Crane? You remember him, Austin?
Yep.
Vaguely, but he was a little before my time, so you and Roger are more likely to remember him in a lot more detail than me.
Still unsolved. They never found out who killed him. Like they beat him to death with a camera, I think, or something.
Yep.
It was terrible, and it just always creeped me out because I'm like, well, there's more. There's somebody knows something, but they never did find out. See, that's a long Hollywood. That was probably what, in the 70s, Roger? Maybe 80s.
That one was
probably 70s.
That one was in the 80s, and it actually happened in Scottsdale, Arizona, where I actually lived. And
there's a lot of on in Arizona, it seemed like.
They finally figured out how that happened. The guy was sleeping with a woman, and what happened was he was actually going back and forth and having sex with her in L.A., I think it was, and the woman's husband drove all the way from L.A. to freaking Arizona, shot him, and then drove all the way back. And he was supposed to be leaving on a business trip by airplane, so he just bought the ticket. And while he was supposed to be away, he drove to Arizona, shot him, and then drove back, and nobody could figure out who the murderer was. It was pretty interesting how he pulled that off. And
so did they find it then? Because I didn't think they ever solved it.
Yeah, I ended up hearing about it back in maybe the 90s, early 2000s. It's actually a pretty interesting story. The way.
Well, another one that reminds me a little bit of it is Bob Saget. That was weird.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a good story right there.
And they say there's no way that, like, he was found basically beaten to death.
They found him. His
But
skull was crushed
fell.
where his skull was crushed where his eyes were coming out of the sockets, and they said he just fell and hit a bedpost.
Yeah, and then his
No.
family and like acting like, well, we really don't need any further investigation. I think at first they were, and then all of a sudden they were like, well, yeah.
They refused to have his body exhumed.
But at first they were wanting to. That's why it was going to be exhumed. And then all of a sudden they were like, oh, well, I guess it's possible that he could have hurt himself that badly falling after talking to the coroner or something. And there's no way. There's a lot of people that said that didn't happen the way it did. But I don't know.
Somebody got to them.
Huh?
Somebody got to them because they were wanting his body exhumed because it was obviously suspicious, and then all of a sudden they backtrack.
I wonder what he was into. It's something.
What?
He was hanging out them Diddy freak off parties with the Olsen girls. That's probably what it was.
See,
He could have been.
last,
Was that what he was on? What was he on? Was he on that show?
yeah, he was on Family Ties or Family. What was it?
Full House
Full House. Yeah, Full House.
with the Olsen twins when they were little girls.
They're creepy now. They're creepy.
Now,
Yeah, they're like alien humanoids.
but you should.
They'll probably be on everything about aliens with me and Roger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you want
They were so.
that episode that I had to stream for Jaffe last night was pretty strange because it was about. Have you ever heard of Leonard Cohen?
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Sounds familiar.
Leonard Cohen,
Who-
he was a freaking writer and writer and musician and everything. He's from Canada. He he played with Paul Simon
Oh, okay.
and Bob
Yeah,
Dylan and all
I
those
don't-
guys.
Recognize it, but
Well, he had this interesting woman on there freaking last night. She was named Ann Diamond, and she claims that she was a part of, or she was a victim of MK Ultra, and that freaking she ended up having to be like a sex slave to Leonard Cohen and stuff of that nature. And she starts going through all this stuff, man, and it's like, with what we're talking about right now, man, it fits in right exactly with what she was saying. It was really
Yeah.
creepy.
Yeah, that's perfect.
yeah.
She was talking.
Wow.
She was talking about how she had a relationship with Leonard Cohen and how freaking people like Mick Jagger from the Rolling Stones was involved in a lot of this stuff. The Beatles. She's talking
Yeah.
about all of it.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
So the freak offs aren't really a new thing. This has been going on since the 60s at least.
Mhm. It's pretty interesting.
This kind of human trafficking, the freak offs of these people.
Wow.
Well, I know he had Cohen. He had this really weird relationship with other musicians, and like he was a stranger person. You know what I mean? Like he always did these off-colored songs that were dark. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I've heard some of them.
yeah, and he had no problems with Satanism and stuff like that whatsoever. And people have also made mentions that he was also a part of what do they call that, Scientology?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. They talk about that now with what's his name? Oh gosh. He looks like he's
Tom
about
Cruise.
Tom Cruise, yeah. But I don't know about. I mean, Tom Cruise actually seems kind of normal. He likes to do his own stunts and stuff, but he seems okay. Yeah.
He's had his episodes.
Yeah, being married to Nicole Kidman, she's a creepy one.
That didn't help anything.
Well,
Yeah, now she's married to Keith Urban, and he's went off the deep end too.
there's
He's a nutcase now.
yeah, and even like with that, what's her name? I forgot her name. She was young back in the 90s, and she ended up marrying and having babies. And everybody that I've referenced to try to figure out how old she was says that she was like 19 years old. But I remember back when it took place, everybody said that she got in a relationship with this guy um, when she was in her teens. And I mean, I know like when it comes to country musicians, I think Loretta Lynn was the last one I heard of that was under 18 when she got married.
Oh,
But that one kind of was strange too. I wish I could remember her name, but I think it was like Shania Twain or one of those women. That she was real young when she ended up getting married, and everybody swears she was supposed to be 18 or 19 years old. But I remember back then when that happened because I just moved to Kansas City, and it was.
well, well, I don't. Jerry Lewis, remember he married that like his cousin that was 13, and that was creepy because she looked like a little girl. And that
Yeah, Jerry Lee Lewis.
he was so creepy. He's dead now, isn't he? Finally, I mean, it took him forever to die, but.
And they thought he sold the planes to Jim Croce and Leonard Skinner's. They called him the killer.
Yeah, because those planes
And
all crashed.
I think he sold the plane that to the airport that Buddy Holly and Big Bopper and Richie Valens all died on too.
Wow, I know. Yeah, he was.
Yeah, they called him the killer. He was affiliated with, I think, with all three of those plane crashes, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Huh.
That is pretty bad. I mean, somebody's got some bad luck. Whenever you have to get on an airplane and he's there, you need to turn around and walk away.
Or you won't buy
I wouldn't be getting on that plane.
You won't buy a plane from him. You do see people sometimes in their lives. There's just like something keeps happening to them all the time. It's one thing like that. Like they'll have a lot of car wrecks, or they'll get hit by cars. My aunt was like that. She got hit by. I don't know why she was out walking, but she got hit by a couple cars back in the day, and then her brother. Was it her brother, Austin? Yeah.
Yeah.
Was going. There used to be two bars in Ohio. They were you had to go across the street, but people would run across the street to get between the two, which is not a good idea anyway. Because you're drunk and you're going.
Not when you're drunk already.
Listen to the name of these bars: Rusty Nail and the King of Clubs. So I don't know what they were called back then, but her brother was going from one to the other, and a car came through there and killed her brother. So that whole family, I mean, it was like she'd been hit by a car twice. It messed up her leg. She had all kinds of pins and stuff in her leg and her knee, and then her brother got killed. So it's weird. I'm like, what's going on with this family that we have that happening?
Like a family curse.
Yeah. I mean, my mom, that was my mom's brother. She didn't have anything like that happen, but I don't know if they were wandering around on the road too much or what. And back then, there wasn't a lot of traffic because I don't know when he passed away, but it's been a long time ago.
1953.
Yeah. People weren't getting killed on the pedestrians like they are nowadays. My God.
Yeah, it's a lot higher now.
Yeah, well, people are driving insane. People are insane. They're on.
Maybe it's the psyop.
Well, I mean, if if we go over what we kind of went over in the last time we had this conversation too, you look at like Ellen, okay, and that one blonde-headed girl she was dating, okay. Now you
Oh, Anne Hesh, yeah.
and Hesh,
Hmm.
remember how she ended up dying? She freaking flipped out. She went down freaking the street, freaking slamming into everything. Luckily, she didn't run anybody over.
Well,
But
and so did you know the little guy that played the elf on her show? His name was Leslie. Do you remember his whole name, Austin? And during COVID, he was a big deal. He did videos and everybody loved him. He was, I think he was gay, but he was always on Ellen's show and everybody loved him. And he had a heart attack and crashed his car about a year after Anne Heche died. And they were trying to say Ellen had something to do with that.
yeah,
Because, and also because, what was the other one that died? That was her dancer. He was on her show all the time. What was his name? Austin, I'm just going, it's going away from me now. The black
And,
guy,
Twitch,
Twitch. Yeah, so she had three people. Well, Twitch killed himself supposedly, but
supposedly.
Leslie Jordan, isn't it? Yeah, I think it's
I
Leslie
think
Jordan.
so. Yeah.
And Anne Heche died similar. It was very strange. And Leslie was like, he was in his 60s and he had just moved to a new house, and they said he was going to the pharmacy to get some medicine. So maybe he wasn't feeling good, and supposedly he had a heart attack and crashed in. It was the same as Anne Heche, but he wasn't alive. Like, he crashed into this hole, or like this building. You could see it was a one-car crash. His car wasn't very damaged at all, though. Now, Anne Heche's wasn't. I think she was alive for a while. But it was kind of strange. I was like, it's just weird. That's kind of
Well,
coincidental.
and another weird thing about Ellen too is she supposedly moved over to England after Trump got elected because in 2024 because she was so upset that he got reelected. But the weird thing now is supposedly she doesn't look like the same person at all anymore. So we're back to the whole body doubles or people being replaced thing. So why is she unrecognizable now? Remember hearing about that?
Yeah. But, well, and the thing about Twitch too is I don't know what was going on with him. And then his wife brought out a book and she kind of said, well, he did have some depression problems, but I don't know. It was strange. And there was a suicide note, but nobody says what was in it. I kind of
His
thought,
voice goes up and down. It wasn't his handwriting, and that he wasn't suicidal too.
I was
There
thinking
was something,
he
or it
had,
was his dad, I think, that said he wasn't suicidal. And
yeah, his grandpa, I think. And then I was
yeah,
thinking
yeah, his grandpa, yeah.
maybe this was right before all this Diddy stuff happened. So I didn't know if there was something that he knew that he thought might implicate him, or something he knew about Ellen. But I thought it was very strange. Now, the Leslie Jordan thing, I mean, he seemed healthy, but like I said, he was a little older. But still, what's the likelihood? That's a coincidence how he passed away, just like Anne Heche, I think, very similar.
Hmm.
And neither one of them ran into any cars. Just like you said, Roger, he just ran into this building. Of course, that he had a heart attack. So, but how likely is it either one of them hit another car or anything? It's just,
yeah.
it's like, what the hell?
It's too suspicious.
Well,
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff around Ellen. I didn't really ever dislike her. I watched her show a little sometimes. I mean, my boyfriend did, and I watched it. It was kind of funny. It was nice, and Twitch seemed that like the most normal person in the world. So,
well, the thing that really caught my attention about that was like the way she was behaving and the fact that she went driving down the road like that. Okay, now when you take a look at like JFK, now a lot of people don't know the story behind JFK and Dr. Feelgood, but that's where the name Dr. Feelgood originated from. His
oh,
physician was actually giving him methamphetamines as a drug supplement, okay? And one day in a hotel room, he flips out, goes butt naked, and runs stark naked through the hotel. All right?
Talking about JFK.
Yeah, JFK.
Yeah.
Now,
He was on a lot of drugs.
now, how many people always talk about JFK, or not JFK, but Marilyn Monroe being involved with MK Ultra? You know,
Yeah, I've heard about that.
Yeah.
And then for me, I think I said it on your last show where we talked about this about I think that Jackie was a part of MK Ultra too because she just handled the death of JFK way too easy.
Well, and she marries that rich guy. Like that was kind of weird too.
No,
very-
Aristotle Onassis.
that was strange.
And see the thing of that about that is a lot of people swear that she did that because she was afraid of him hurting her family, her kids and stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know.
He actually did try to tell her son, John Jr., never to run for president. He didn't while she was alive, but after she passed, he made an announcement he was going to try to, and he was gone.
Yep.
Not even 6 months later, in that
Right.
plane crash.
And
So she knew.
odd too.
It's,
Yeah.
You know, that those are the things that really stick out to me. And then I take a look and I see this stuff with Ellen and the way freaking her woman acted up. You know what I mean? And ends up dead because she freaking had an accident. You know, it's things like that that kind of stick into my craw when I start seeing things like that. It's mysterious.
Yeah.
You know. Apparently something had happened to her or to where she was no longer needed and they had to make sure she just kind of had an accident in my opinion.
Well, with
Yeah.
Twitch, very close with Twitch though. Like they took vacations together. I mean, Twitch was married and had kids, but Ellen was so close to their family. Like they would go on vacations together and all kinds of stuff. They didn't only work together. Yeah.
Now Twitch I didn't know much, but I knew like he was her guinea pig. She would make him go out and do weird shit on the street with a microphone and stuff, but I don't get too much into that woman stuff.
Well, and Leslie Jordan was really cute. He would do different things on the show too. So it was really, I don't know. And now she's gone. And then Garth Brooks, he's like, all of a sudden, Garth Brooks and Trisha Yearwood are gone. But he's going to have to come back here in a year or so and do a trial because that.
Did he actually move to Ireland?
I don't know, but you don't hear anything about him. But he's going to have to do the trial. She has not dropped the charges, so he's going to trial for this rape. Unless something happens, God forbid her. I hope she has a bodyguard or something.
And he did the same thing too, because he was acting like he wanted to move to Ireland because Trump got reelected. But I don't think it was the same thing with Ellen. I don't think it really had anything to do with Trump unless Trump's behind all these investigations into these people. Because didn't he say the enormity of what's coming will shock the world?
Yeah, but I
mean,
don't think Garth saying anything about Trump. He was basically just saying like, well, you know, Tricia and she's always wanted to move there, and I think it's time for me to kind of back down. All of a sudden, he's wanting to retire, and he's not in Vegas anymore. He dropped his Vegas thing right after he was charged with rape.
But he was always very outspoken of being against Trump, and so he's using that as an excuse, is what I'm saying.
That as well. I didn't hear that, but yeah. And then he's so off. I don't know where they're at now. He's so quiet, but he's still going to have to go to trial here in America because she didn't drop the charges. But like I said, I hope she's got bodyguards or something because you don't want her to disappear and then he won't have to worry about it. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because she could disappear.
But you gotta understand.
When you're not always laughing at him saying, "Where's the bodies?" That's weird. You know, where's a body, Garth? I don't even know what that's about or how that started.
See.
Oh, it was because some of his concerts, like people had disappeared that he was playing, so they said Garth killed them. They think he's a serial killer, but that's just
There
silly.
was there was like a big running joke where people'd see Garth Brooks interviews and they'd be like, "Tell us where the bodies are, Garth."
Yes, it's a joke, but
Well, I mean,
gosh,
you're dealing with hillbillies too, though. You got to remember, I'm from Southern Illinois. I told you about Garth Brooks. Like freaking people here like to wear the Garth Brooks shirts and listen to freaking Run DMC and shit. You know what I mean? So,
oh, I always
it's
Garth Brooks. Hey,
it's
not
kind
now.
of a horrible experience for me. And like they're like the epitome of freaking redneck hillbilly. Okay, in Southern Illinois, these are people freaking who get in arguments and fights with their wives and girlfriends, and their girlfriends beat them over the head with something, and then they run off saying, "You don't love me no more. I'm gonna kill myself." And guess what the guy does? He gets up and he follows behind her. "I love you, darling," and he just got the hell beat out of him with a freaking frying pan. You know what I mean?
You know what they say? The police hate the most, don't you?
What?
Is domestic violence calls, because when they get into them, they don't know what they're going to get into. If they
Uh-huh.
come there, the wife is called or the husband, and they think that they can take one of them away, and then if they try to, then they try to kill them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
they are
yeah.
the most unpredictable calls they have. They hate them. They actually hate them.
I bet you
They're-
I bet you it's not only Garth Brooks planning to go to Ireland, but it's his crazy woman who are saying, "Hey man, we need to just leave the United States and go to Ireland.
Mhm.
That way we can just get rid of all this."
But they're
Yeah.
not going to.
Yeah,
Not
Trisha, I can see Trisha Yearwood saying that.
but she can't. I mean, she's got it still. They said he's got to go back wherever he's at. I don't know where he's at now.
Right.
Maybe
He
he's
probably try to. It'd be a good idea for him to try to flee somewhere with that doesn't have an extradition treaty, but I don't know where he could. I don't know where that would be.
I don't think that
no
would be a good idea at all, because if they don't have extradition laws, that means when they bust you, freaking, you're going somewhere bad.
right,
Like
right.
So that's probably why they're not fleeing to those countries because there's some of the countries we don't have extradition treaties with are so horrible you wouldn't want to be living there.
all right, like
I think he did it. But I don't think. I think that they had an affair for a while. But she was his hairdresser. But then I think she didn't want to do it anymore, and at that time she needed a job, and she kept doing it. But then I don't know. There must have been a couple situations where she told him no, and he didn't appreciate that. So yeah, that's not,
country loving.
Yeah.
that's not
That's the way it works, you know. You got that country loving going on, and if
yeah.
if you're gonna be a lover like 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 a country boy, you better put up with the restraining orders and the domestic violence charges, and
Yeah,
just do it, you know.
I dated one of them. I dated one of them. I threw a beer bottle at him, and almost, and if it would have hit him, it probably would have knocked him out or killed him. But it broke on the wall right beside him. It shattered. So I threw it pretty hard,
It's,
but
yeah,
that was the
I figured you was a country girl.
well, deserved it.
You know what I'm talking about. That's why you got your head down when I'm talking and stuff. And you're like, "Oh, I did
Yeah.
that. I did that." You know what a country girl is.
He didn't call the police or anything.
Well,
He was scared.
yeah,
He shut up.
that's what I'm saying. They usually don't. They're terrified. "I love you, darling. I'm sorry."
Country girls are like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. You don't mess with them. They're the type of female that freaking has like a bone puncturing out of their kneecap, and then they freaking bitch because you want them to go to the hospital. "Oh no, oh no, I can just go home and put a bandage around that. It'll be perfectly fine. Got blood
Yeah.
gushing out and a bone sticking out, and they're just gonna pop it into place. You know what I mean? And put a bandage in there.
Well, when I was younger, I would fight him. I would fight him back. I mean, we got in some fights, and I'm like, I can't believe it, because I wouldn't do that now. It's not good to ever try to hit a man, but you know, I was only like 17 or 18 there. Yeah, different.
Moving out in the country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing that like I tell people all the time: don't live out in the country. Don't do that crap. Like for what?
I mean, we lived out in the country. It was peaceful.
Living out in the country is nice. It's just, you just don't have to do that stuff just because you live in it.
Austin.
There's something about the country though.
General.
There's something about the country though. It's like for some reason you can say that you just don't have to do that stuff, but guess what? Frickin' you do that stuff.
No.
There's no explanation for it, but all of a sudden
And I don't remember stuff with.
I was prepared to do it if I needed to do it, but
I didn't do it.
never indulged in it.
Dad. I didn't do it with, and I didn't fight like that. No, that was stupid. But yeah,
I'm more afraid of country girls than I am country boys. I'll put it to you that way. Like,
Yeah, me too.
like I can deal with like a country boy getting in a fight with a country boy, but when a country girl comes at you, they usually got their shoes off and they're barefooted and they're freaking coming at you with their claws. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then then you're thinking, okay, she's just gonna scratch me, but no, apparently they've learned how to ball their fists up and hit you square in the freaking nose. So you're sitting there.
He was scared of me, you know. Actually, my first husband was kind of scared of me, I think. I was,
you know. So yeah, I learned my lesson. I was learned, and that's what country girls call it too. You got to learn your man.
Yeah.
That's
no, I don't remember ever saying that, but I was a country. You know,
he got learned. He got learned.
But we did. When I met Austin's dad, I was dating him, and I was separated from my redneck husband, and he was at the two bars actually I was talking about earlier, the King of Clubs and the Rusty Nail. So I saw my ex-husband's truck at the Rusty Nail, and guess whose keys I still had? I had the keys to that truck. So, and then we were at the King of Clubs, you know, across the street, and I got drunk, and I told their dad, we weren't married at the time. I was like, I think I'm not going to do anything bad, but I'm going to move his truck and he'll think somebody stole it. And he's like, I don't want anything to do with this. I know, don't do that. But of course, so I did it. We, you know, and so I moved the truck to the back of the lot, and then their dad, he got me in the car, and we were taking off, and we saw my ex-husband walking out, and he was like freaking out. You could see he had just walked out of the bar, and he was looking all over for, you could tell he thought somebody stole his truck. This gets even better because I got to hear what the reaction was. My brother-in-law was always drinking there at that bar, and he said that my ex-husband came back in and he was freaking totally out. He was telling his friends, somebody stole my truck. Oh my God, somebody stole my truck. So they were all like, oh my God. So they all ran out and were looking all over for it. And then they, you know, finally they found it around the back of the bar. But they couldn't, you know, and then so I guess, I don't know how he figured it out that I did it, but I think he finally, you know, once he settled down, he knew it had to be me because nobody else had keys to it. So he came into my work a couple days later and was wanting his keys. So yeah, that was that was very immature, but it was fun too.
Man, I'm so glad I'm single.
Don't blame you.
uh, so,
It was fun.
so
It was real. What?
I was waiting for you to respond. I really don't want to answer anything other than what you just said because like that's really traumatic. I live in a small town where I used to travel out to the country to
Mm-hmm.
be around a country girl, and I swear to God, dude, when Eddie Murphy did that sitcom where he was doing stand up and he was talking about his brother-in-law and his wife having kids that were like Bigfoot. Like he said that he married Bigfoot and shaved her body and they had babies and he said freaking I know that's the truth because I had your son out on a fishing boat and I told he said he couldn't all right he said he couldn't catch fish and I said stick your head down in the water or something like that. And he stuck his head down in the water, pulled up a fish in his mouth, spit it out, and said, "A goony goo." And
Well,
every time I go out to the country and I see women, that's what I think of. I think of this barefooted little kids are running around, sticking their head in the water and coming up with water and fish and going, "Oh, goony goo."
Yes.
there's plenty of crazy women, no matter where they're from. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, but
I think we've covered freaking the. I think. Well, I mean that's all I was saying. Like when it comes to like country musicians and their wives and girlfriends.
you're talking like a Mindy McCready too. That was a crazy. Yeah,
Yeah.
Now,
she killed him. Right.
Yeah, she did.
And then I think guess she felt like she was going to get caught, so she killed herself. But she had a lot of
She
issues.
did.
well, I mean,
Yeah.
the one thing about these country musicians, women especially, is like you're not gonna catch them getting caught up in that whole Hollywood thing. Um,
Hmm.
you know what I mean? Like it was
That's what they're scared of them.
yeah.
They're like, the devil's better than this. We're not going to mess with them country girls.
Who was it you were saying trying to be country? Was it Celine Dion?
No.
Beyonce.
Beyonce?
Yeah.
And like Beyonce, man, she's gonna have to change her like sleaziness. You know what I mean? Instead of wearing stuff where her boobs are almost hanging out, she's gonna have to wear like those freaking jean shorts and look
Well,
like
she is wearing. Did you see her hair? She bleached it blonde,
oh my
like
god.
Dolly Parton.
You ain't country.
Yeah, but that's I mean you gotta realize, man, it's like there's two different kinds of sleaziness. Like you gotta be a freaking a bronc buck, what do they call them, a bunny buckle or something like that, buckle bunny.
A
Yeah.
buckle bunny.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Those are the ones for the bull
like
riders.
you know,
Bull riders.
I've gotten amazed with country musicians, female country musicians, how they all want to look like freaking buckle bunnies. Like at one time they used to insult them and make fun of them, but now all of a sudden they want to look like them. I always liked buckle bunnies. I thought they were hot. You know, I mean,
I don't know.
hot, dirty little girls, dirty little nasty buckle
Hmm.
bunnies. I know, I'm horrible. Every, everybody tells me that all the time. They're like, you know, that's pretty sexist, Roger. And I'm like, what the heck are you talking about, sexist? Like, they're they're buckle bunnies.
Bungle bunnies. I've never heard that term before. That's a funny one, though.
You've never heard of a buckle bunny?
No, I've never heard of a bungle bunny.
Yeah, a
Oh,
buckle bunnies. It's you know, at the rodeos, they like the rodeo boys, and sometimes I guess they make a little bit of money, so they like them.
Oh, okay.
well, see, what happened is they're like, you know how you have Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders?
Yeah.
They've got actually a group of women in Texas that are called buckle bunnies.
Now, what is that? Is that what Bill Belichick's girlfriend's called, Jennifer?
Yeah,
You talk about age difference. What is he like? He was.
she's like 24 and he's like 75 or something.
Yeah, there's like 50 years. I mean, I don't have any issues with that. My boyfriend's older, but I'm like, God darn, 50 years. She's all out for his money,
Well,
and he
Yeah.
is
yeah, like,
attractive.
that's kind of what I was thinking. Like, I mean, at 70 years old, you know he's not. You know, sex isn't a part of the freaking equation.
Well, they
No.
said what they said he was.
Neither is love. With that age difference.
Not with that age difference, but they said that he takes shots. I didn't know there was anything like that, and I don't know if that's true.
That's a lot.
But
you know,
no, they said shots, like you can take shots. But they had him. Did you see the
Where?
picture where he leaving her she was at the Air&B thing, and he was leaving without his shirt on. It was
70
awful.
What? 70 in his 70s and stuff?
He's 70. What is he, Austin? How old is he? 73,
I think
72?
he's 70. I think he's 76, 78, something.
Somewhere.
What?
And where's he taking these shots at? Like, this is supposed to be for what? To get it up? Is he like?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
So like, where's the needle go?
It's supposed to.
Yeah, that's a good question.
That's a scary question. See, this is
No,
Yeah.
you guys can look it up. I looked it up. I was
I
like,
know.
it seems like that'd be pretty painful, but they say that you can do that. But maybe he takes fire or something. It should work for him.
There's
I don't
got
know
to be
about
an age. There's got to be an age limit. Like nobody over the age of 65 can take ED pills. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
I think it's
Probably.
all the age of 65 that take them.
There has to be like heart conditions and stuff like that involved in it because.
And did you see the interview with her? Like how she did kind of take it over, and it was crazy. She's pretty messed up. You know?
Well, I mean,
She's
how has anybody ever like brought it up about the age difference to her?
yeah, it's all over the internet, isn't it, Austin? Yeah. All over the place. Yeah.
It's all the internet. It's I don't know if anybody's ever brought it up to both of them together, but it's
They
all
have it,
over.
you know, everybody's making fun of them, but
I didn't.
yeah.
I don't like get caught up in all that stuff. Now, for me personally, I don't like men who usually take erectile dysfunctional medicines are usually married men who've been like married to the same woman for like 50 years. You know,
I don't know if on all
I
this.
mean, I have this saying about erectile
But
dysfunction.
I mean, she's 24, so he's 73, I think.
All right.
I mean, and he looks old, and I don't know.
She's just after his money. It's all.
Yeah. Well, it's like Hugh Hefner. Wasn't he the one that had the Playboy Mansion?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, another one.
He's sitting there. He's got like 5 beautiful women sitting by on the side. They're all my girlfriends. You know, none of them are getting a damn thing from this dude. You know what I'm saying?
Well, according to them, they were. You know, the one woman
Yeah, whatever.
sex with him all the time.
Yeah, I don't believe that.
Put a
little bit.
kickstand on it. You know what I'm saying? Pump it up with a freaking air pump and put a kickstand up. You know, kind of keep everything
They did
where.
have some kind of balloon. They did have some kind of balloon thing that they could do to get it up to or something. Balloon treatment.
Boy, things are just getting scary on this freaking episode.
That's, yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's scary.
that's pretty bad. Hair Club for Men doesn't seem all that bad anymore.
What?
No.
Huh?
I said after this conversation, Hair Club for Men doesn't sound all that bad anymore.
No. No, it doesn't, does it?
It's like hell yeah, dude, that's okay. I can do that as long as I don't have to do that erectile dysfunction shit.
Oh God.
The shots.
Well,
Yeah.
that's well, see,
He was probably taking like testosterone shots or injections or something so that he didn't have ED. That'd be my guess.
well, that would be okay because I know he could do it in the arm and everything. But like, is this like a secret freaking shot that you have to do directly in the penis? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's what the shot
Oh.
is. It actually
Oh, I had
is.
no idea.
It is. But
That's-
they were talking on a show about him, and they were laughing about it. And I was like, "What are they talking about? That's not anything you can do." And I looked it up, and I was like, "Oh my God, it is!"
That's
And they
horrible.
were, fun out there.
Yeah, that's horrible.
That is
Huh?
horrible. That's horrible.
That's horrible.
As a man, I would have to say that he deserved to get laughed at. Okay.
Yeah, he does.
That's the problem. He's such a reputable coach, and he's been all this. He's a great coach and had like 8 Super Bowl rings or something. And now it's just his whole thing is kind of his
This
whole image is bad.
this
His
stems.
whole
Oh, go ahead.
Hmm.
he should have been retired and off to himself somewhere, not out here doing this shit, making a total fool of himself like he is.
Right. Right.
You know what's funny? Like he had a girlfriend before that was a little bit younger than him, and she's real pretty. And this woman's young, but I don't think she's as pretty as his old girlfriend. But
Let's see.
No.
I'm 51 right now. Okay. I still got maybe 9-10 years where I'm actually gonna want sex. Okay. Being realistic. Okay. But the thing of it is at this point in my life, I mean, I really don't care if I have sex or not. You know what I mean? And like when I hit 65 and shit don't function, and I'm not going to run around trying to make freaking organs pop out that freaking aren't supposed to be popping out at 65.
oh,
You know what I'm saying? Not because a woman's saying, well, you know, we gotta have a baby. I'm
We're just
60.
gonna try to age with grace.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I'm not, and I think that's one of the biggest problems that a lot of these guys have today is they think that they freaking have to like do something to freaking make themselves have like, you know, sexually be able to do something when in reality it's probably not even freaking having to do with you. It has to do with the person you're with,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Love it.
Because if you're not happy with that person, you're not going to freaking have the physical chemistry. It might.
that can
Yeah.
be. I mean, when you're getting like in your 80s or something, I
Yeah.
would imagine. I don't know for sure.
You shouldn't even be thinking about sex by then. You should be using freaking Viagra to freaking make sure you don't piss on the floor when you get out of bed. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. It's true.
It's like
Good
cut
Lord.
it up into a little piece for every day. You know, that way when you wake up, you're not freaking pissing on the floor.
Well, when like my boyfriend watches sports and like have all the commercials on there, of course, because it's guys watching the game. Commercials for all kinds of.
Well, baseball. Is it football or baseball?
Baseball.
Yeah.
Baseball.
Yeah. See, you get the baseball used to be for like American pastime and all that stuff, but it like these commercials and stuff like that they're putting on it is horrible, dude. Like,
Yeah.
you know, it was bad enough back in the day, but now they're like putting. I seen that and it was like they're putting erectile dysfunction medicines on there. Uh,
Yeah.
they've got one for freaking what is it? Well, hair club for men, and then they have that GNC commercial where freaking she'll like it too.
Oh, hymns.
Yeah.
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 You know,
Uh,
it's just about like your viewing audience. Like I noticed the local news, which again I don't watch that, but my boyfriend does. The women on there literally look like hookers, and that's what Gerald was saying. I said, but that's because they think old men want to watch these women. And the one woman,
Yeah.
her lips keep getting bigger, and you can tell she's doing stuff. She's young.
Yeah.
She's got all
the
long
demographic for baseball on the local news is old men.
like, oh, it's for 50 men that are 50 and up, I would imagine. But she,
Yeah, that's what I said. The old men, 50 and up.
done something else, and like she'll wear these real low cut dresses, and Gerald's like, what is she doing? I was like, he's like, what'd she do to her lips? And I was like, because they put those injections in her. She's put injections in her lip.
Well, you know,
She looks like a
Yeah.
porn star.
I guess I have a really bad sense of humor because I always try to make this joke about those commercials. Like they'd have these beautiful blondes staring out on a beach in
Yeah.
the water, okay, and it had to do with erectile dysfunction. And I would always say that poor woman, man, having to suffer from ED, and nobody ever thought that was funny. I'm like, if you have a friggin' commercial about erectile dysfunction, why are you putting beautiful friggin' blondes on the commercial?
Yeah, like they're gonna be sleeping with those old men anyway. They're not.
Right. And I mean, if you look at it, it's saying this poor woman sitting on the beach, freaking looking out at the freaking water, has erectile dysfunction. She needs pills.
Yep.
You know, I mean,
I don't know
It's a fun.
with paranormal, but it could, I guess.
Yeah,
yeah,
we went off the deep end ourselves.
yeah. I think we really fell off topic, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. We've been wondering now for a bit.
Well, when you start talking about Hollywood, I mean,
Oh well, yeah. You know,
Well, yeah.
Jennifer, she was on an award show the other night. And she didn't have hardly any clothes on, but I'm like, you're getting. Even though she's got a great body, I'm like, you're getting too old to be looking like that. Why don't you just dress nice and you'll be attractive?
you talking about Cher?
Yeah. No, J-Lo.
Oh, okay. I was getting worried there because if it's Cher doing that shit still, somebody
Oh,
needs,
she is.
somebody needs
She
to take
does.
her back.
Body re-imaged, it looks like.
She needs to be taken back to the nursing home.
Yeah, that's where she belongs.
With the guy about Austin's age, I think. Wasn't she Austin for a while? I mean,
Yeah. Yeah,
Maybe he was wanting her money.
Well, I mean, you know,
probably.
it's like I have respect for these people who get on these social medias and they talk about the term gilf. They like if you want to really see a real gilf, and then they put a meme of an old woman with those adult Pampers on.
Mhm.
You know, that's what people really need to do to kind of show them, look, this is reality. This is what's going on. You know what I mean? Freaking, you look at the way that they push this stuff on the internet and all over media. Like older women freaking have problems that they have to put up with, just like old men. You know what I mean? And there's nothing sexy about it whatsoever.
No.
They
No.
advertise so many drugs. It's terrible. Not just those kind of drugs, all kinds, constant. I hate that. I'm like, God, you know. And then they have all those side effects. Like, God, rather not take the drug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your tongue's gonna swell up and you're gonna have a freaking heart attack.
Mhm. Yep.
Side effects may occur like bleeding profusely from the eyeballs
Yeah.
and
It's like that.
and and then like death. You know what I mean? Like how do you call freaking death a side effect?
It
It's
can cause death.
Well, I mean,
Yes.
yeah. May cause death.
well, yeah, it's cool if they say that, but then like I've heard commercials where they said side effects include death.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, I've heard that many times.
I'm like, are you serious, dude? That is not a freaking side effect. That's death is death. You know what I mean?
The final
Yeah,
effect.
death is the end of it.
Yeah.
That's the
So
final effect. That's it.
Yeah.
if
And
you're
finally,
suffering,
it caused death.
if you're suffering from erectile dysfunction, you should take blood. Known side effects are death. Yeah. Don't
Oh
use
wow.
don't use this with Botox.
Yeah. Yeah.
May cause
Right.
lips to friggin' swell.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay. So, what's that guy's name, Austin, on TikTok? I always forget that. I'm gonna see if he's got some new videos up here soon.
Who?
Um, the one
Arthur
on
Fleck?
yeah, Fleck. Arthur Fleck, is that his name?
Yeah, he was the one who. Yeah, he was the one who's made some of the videos I was telling the stories about because he was supposedly on the inside in Hollywood for a number of years and stuff.
Yeah,
Oliver Fleck.
Arthur.
Arthur Fleck.
Arthur Fleck.
Now, there's also an interesting Catholic priest, Father Rehill, if you get a chance, Roger.
Yeah.
Who said he started out in New York as a stockbroker
Whoa,
and
whoa,
was
whoa, whoa! I know this dude. This isn't this freaking what's his face's brother?
who?
Oh God, Arthur Fleck is he's the one that played as Indiana Jones when he was younger in the fourth movie.
Oh, I don't think so. I think he's a rapper.
Arthur Fleck is the one we're talking about. It's a rapper.
Yeah.
Okay, Arthur Fleck.
Now, Father Rehill's a Catholic priest now, but he was a stockbroker in New York
Arthur.
and was very wealthy and everything was going great. But he talks about how he met the devil and actually he does exorcisms now.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, so Arthur Fleck, from what I found out, is supposed to be a character from DC Comics off of Batman.
no, it's not the same one.
No, not the same one.
He's on TikTok.
Rapper.
He's a TikTok influencer. I'll look him up and try to find some more information on him too.
I had never seen him, but like I said, I wasn't into rap anyway. I like R&B, but not rap. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when it comes to like rap, I did get into it, but I was real picky about it. You know what I mean?
No,
Yeah.
well, he sent stuff. I guess I like rap, but that's been a long time ago.
Okay, so Arthur Fleck, does he like dress up like a clown?
No.
No.
For the pirate? It says Buggy versus.
No, Roger finding him.
It says Buggy versus Arthur Fleck's One Piece versus Joker rap battle.
Oh.
No.
Oh my gosh! I can't believe it's almost 11 o'clock.
Arthur Fleck versus Buggy rap battle. Oh my god, dude! Like, what are you guys doing to me? Shit.
I think he was a rapper, but I don't know if that's him that you're talking about or not.
Freshie Canal Wiki, Buggy versus Arthur Fleck.
Well, Austin, if I get scared here, ooh, who's that over there? Oh, okay. If
You're
I
gonna
get
get
scared,
scared.
I'll call you
I
after
was
the
Oh,
show.
okay, yeah.
There's nobody. No, yeah, Gerald's not here, so not that he'll
Why?
protect me.
Why you getting creeped out now? You seeing stuff over there in the creepy corner?
It's just late. I'll be be dark and.
okay. There's Arthur Fleck on Bandcamp.
Oh my God!
Ra-
Let me see who.
Rago Zulu Rebel.
Oh,
Maybe.
Is he a black
I
guy?
can't see what you're Roger, so I don't know.
Is he a black guy?
yes, he is.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much him.
Had like a tattoo under his left eye, I think, or his right. It may be his right eye.
Oh, there must be there's a guy that says Arthur Fleck played the Joker.
Yeah.
Ew.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah, but it wasn't the same one. It wasn't the same one we're thinking of.
Arthur Fleck by Ragu Zulu Rebel. Okay, so. Okay. That's cool. That's something I will do research on, and I will get back to you on that one.
yeah. You might have.
Cool, man.
I'm getting the
I'll look
Joker.
it up too.
Austin, send me his TikTok page or something. Because
I will.
the Joker everywhere. That's creepy. Ooh.
I'll look him up on and see if he's on YouTube too. I would think he'd be on YouTube too.
Yeah, he's on YouTube. He is.
Okay.
Send him the link from YouTube, and he's on Facebook too. I think. Yeah.
I don't know about Facebook. I don't follow him on Facebook or YouTube. I've only followed him on TikTok, but I don't know.
Look up on YouTube. He's on there too. Yeah, I've seen him on YouTube. So, well, I guess we should wrap up the show.
Well, now you got me obsessed with Arthur Fleck. I mean, now what? I'm now that I'm interested, you're just wanting to bail on me, Summer. I mean,
No, I'll look up a link and send it to you so you can watch his videos.
well, I don't know if I want to watch his videos after all the stuff I've already found. Like, this guy's like doing a battle rap with freaking the Joker.
Well, I wasn't too interested in his rap, but he just did some really interesting Hollywood conspiracies videos.
Oh yeah,
that was me.
Yeah.
I'm just joking.
He's pretty. But if you look him up, you keep getting this Arthur Fleck, the devil, from Bruce Wayne. He's Bruce Wayne's son. This guy, the other Arthur Fleck.
I don't know. Yeah, I'll just send Roger a link to his page over on the admins here on Discord.
Yeah. Oh, apparently Arthur Fleck has become a very, very popular name on YouTube when it comes to the son of Bruce Wayne.
Bruce Lee, yeah, Bruce. He's like a karate guy, wasn't he?
No, Bruce Wayne.
No, that's Bruce.
Bruce Wayne was the guy who actually was Batman. His real name was Bruce.
Oh.
And
but
this
Arthur
would
Fleck,
be,
Joker.
Oh wait, so yeah, he would be the son of the Joker.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's even.
Yeah, but that's not who we're talking about at all.
Yeah, okay. Boy, oh boy, life gets interesting when us three get together. We're like on fire, dude.
Yeah, we are, man. We get into some bizarre stuff. I mean, the shows the topics we go into aren't even as bizarre as the paths we get off on talking.
Yeah.
But the topics of our shows were supposed to be bizarre enough anyway. But when we get off into some stuff that's even weirder than that somehow.
Well,
Right.
That's because of your mom, though. She's
No, it's
Yeah.
not.
she starts talking about.
It could be all three of us are weirdos. I mean,
Well, I'm not. I mean, I just. I'm not,
well, no,
I'm
Roger.
not a weirdo. I just like to talk about some kind of astro slide. I'm gonna figure that one out too. I have no clue what the hell.
It's called
remember that one time you sent me that channel. What was that Earth channel you do?
Yeah.
It's Astroglide.
And I asked you like what you post on there, and all you said was just stuff.
Yeah.
And really, that's all it is. It's just
Stuff.
off the wall as fuck, man. It's just stuff. It's just.
Phones. I said it's Astroglide, not Astroslide.
Oh,
Yeah, Astroglide, not Astroslide. Yeah. You'll never find it if you're looking for Astroslide.
That's-
Stuff because I watch ball games and they advertise it. So.
Astro Glide. Okay.
Like it's a lot like baby oil, I guess.
Astro Glide instead of
God.
Astro Slide. Okay.
Astroslide, I don't know what that is. It's like that water thing or something.
That's what I was thinking. Like it was going on a slip slide and
It might act
everything.
like a plastic slide for
Yeah. I was
people
like,
at pool parties.
I was like, why,
Called the Astroslide, but other than that, I don't know.
it was
Well,
like,
I'm gonna go.
why is everybody giving P. Diddy such a hard time is what I was thinking. It's like he's got baby oil, he's got freaking a slip and slide, he's got these kids coming over just sliding on the freaking slip and slide, you know?
Like Michael Jackson did, he was just sharing his bed with little kids and having warm milk with them when he was in his 40s. Nothing to see here. Move along.
That's Michael Jackson,
Yeah.
though. Right?
Well, I'm gonna get off of here because I just got a call. I gotta go calling back. So, so
You're in so much trouble. He's gonna be like, why are you down in the basement in the corner?
no, he just. I'm
Yeah.
in trouble. I was just gonna call it.
It's like we made poor Summer do all these weird things. Like she's sitting in her basement hiding in the creepy
I
corner.
got my-
She's sitting in her basement in the corner with the picture of an alien next to her,
Isn't that so
drinking.
cool? Isn't that so cool?
Yeah. Yeah, it is cool. I love it.
So if we are gonna end this, that means that you have to do like an official ending, Summer.
Okay.
'Cause-
Okay.
Yeah, give it a good ending.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's. I'm sure nobody else is listening at this point. Okay. Well, it's. I don't even know what to say. Well, that's about all we have to talk about tonight. So, if you have anything to add, just put it in the comments. Okay.
Maybe, everybody.
Dude.
Huh? Okay. Bye.
I'll send you the link to Arthur Fleck's page, Roger, on the admins over on Discord and stuff.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.